What's up, guys? This is Hit You Good, and today we're begging the question, is Battlefield 2042 worth going back to after the 3.2 update? Now, as you know, this is probably the most drastic update to date, with new vault weapons, the rework of Breakaway, and most importantly, the reintroduction of the class system, one of many legacy features left out of the game at launch and demanded by players for over a year. So, right off the bat, what do I think about this? I am extremely pleased with these updates. I really am. Not everything's perfect, and once again, I'm not giving DICE any props for simply delivering on what they promised, what I paid $100 for over a year ago, might I add. But this game has really transformed into something fun, and I've been playing Battlefield 4 every single week for the last couple weeks and truly enjoying it. And while I don't think Update 3.2 is going to knock Battlefield 4 off its kingly throne, in my opinion, of course, this update will solidify 2042 in my normal rotation of Battlefield games, and I'm having an awesome time with it. I've already detailed the changes in prior videos, so if you're looking for that, the link is in the description below. But this video is simply a review, so let's get into things and talk about Update 3.2. Now, sadly, the class system is just a hybrid of what we wanted. I really wish they would just straight up restrict weapons to certain classes with a few weapon classes available for all of them, but I will say that overall it's a huge improvement over what we had. It's really nice going into battle with a specific playstyle in mind and kind of looking at the field of play and then deciding what class or playstyle I'm going to choose, rather than before where a minimal amount of thought went into it and just all I had to do was just create a jack of all trades. In other words, Falk with a rocket launcher and an assault rifle. I mean, that's really almost everything you need. And I wouldn't have any reason to ever change it. But now there's more thought and tactics that go into it, and I'm enjoying it immensely. Looking back to the launch of this game and just how different it is, I really do think that the devs at DICE were just looking at every other developer out there raking in tons of money, and instead of wanting to please the player base that they already had, they wanted to go please the player base of every other franchise into coming over and playing a quote-unquote Battlefield game. And in doing so, completely destroyed the identity of the game, putting greed over fun and greed over the dedication of the players that they already had. DICE really needs to learn a lesson, because the grass isn't greener on the other side. The grass is greener wherever you water it. And thankfully, the original fan base is getting some long overdue love. The fact that players are no longer playing a B-rated Call of Duty title where minimal teamwork is needed, and now we have to lean on each other a little more, really does create greater community, as the team that works together the best is a lot more likely to win. It's been pretty fun watching all the players who had no real idea what a true Battlefield game was just cry over the new changes in some of these Facebook groups and the like, demanding to know where their unlimited ammo is for their rocket launcher. It's pretty entertaining, to say the least. But that's what Battlefield is. You're one of many on a battlefield. You're not a super soldier. The story isn't all about you and your character. It's literally about working as a team on a vast scale map where thousands of small interactions can lead to a win. That's what Battlefield has always been about, and dang, it's just really nice to see it come back. But just take a real quick break. If you want to support your favorite all-American freedom-loving gamer, please click the subscribe button below and leave a comment down below as well, letting me know you did so. That way I can personally thank you. But other than that, let's get back to the review. All in all, I'm sure there's a few balances that can take place here and there, like LMGs being too similar to assault rifles, except having, 200 rounds, and maybe assault players having just a tad too bit much survivability without the help of support. But all in all, it really ain't bad. Another thing I do love is the vehicle gameplay. Of course, there's going to be a few things that contribute to the changes I'm enjoying here. First off, when the game launched, it was extremely difficult to get a tank, a MAV, a Bolt, or even a Jeep. Coming from Battlefield 4 and loving the tank gameplay, it was just almost useless to try and play in one in 2042 because everyone is going for a vehicle right out of spawn. And I think there's two reasons that we don't see that quite as much now. First of all, they're not quite as necessary to get around with because you don't have to run 2 miles to get to your first piece of cover. The flags are a little closer together now on a lot of these maps, and you simply no longer need to Uber around the map every time you want to push and advance. You can run there and also have a little bit of cover along the way, which is definitely good. Now, vehicles help, but they're not imperative to getting from point A to point B. Additionally, the class system has helped this as well, because if I'm playing any class outside of Engineer, I'm not near as likely to hop into a tank, as I won't have that repair tool to help keep it alive for very long. So overall, I think it's a lot easier to actually hop in vehicles now that, some of these roles have been developed. Additionally, I'm enjoying the plethora of vehicles in the game. and the many ways you can use to customize them. Back in Battlefield 4, me and Cowboy would run the tank guided shell with the gunner SOFLAM and just go ham on aircraft. So I'm hoping to see some creative ideas here that present themselves as I unlock more and more on the many different vehicles in here. On the flip side, I really think DICE, in the pattern that they started off with, shielding players from seeing their in-game performance with a scoreboard so they don't get all mad and decide to leave because they're not doing well, or not allowing us to chat with the opposing team because somebody might get triggered or something. They've also shielded us from vehicle sweats who can take over a lobby if they have the skill to do so. And, you know, if they have the skill to do that, yeah, it might be annoying, but sorry, that player earned that, and that's what I want to do someday, right? I want to be that good. Sadly, DICE is really trying to buff rocket launchers in the game, and with the logic that, yeah, fewer people are going to have rocket launchers now, which is great. I really appreciate that, and that this change kind of makes surface level sense to me. But dadgum, they have really buffed these launchers, and most notable is the TGM of Liz. Now, I hear you, they only do 20 damage per hit, and they did open up the hitbox enough, so they're just slightly easier to shoot out of the sky. But hey, you get two Liz specialists together that want you to die, you're either going to die or you're going to be extremely vulnerable to M5 recoilless rockets, and especially javelins. This goes double if you're in a helicopter. This is because DICE actually buffed the maneuverability of Liz's rockets to where if a Liz player misses a heli, no problem. They can circle around several times until they do land a hit, which I think is just absolutely ludicrous. It's ridiculous. If you miss your shot, you miss your shot. You've already got the benefit of a shoulder-fired TV missile, and if you can't hit it on the first go-round, you shouldn't be given multiple chances afterwards, especially if the pilot was skilled enough to dodge your first rocket and you've already got another one in your pocket ready to go. Likewise, there are a few things in the game that have literally no counterplay to them. In the older games, what I appreciated was any kind of thing that somebody came up with, there would be a counterplay to it. Some of them would be more effective than others, but there was something that you could do about it. If you're a pilot or in a vehicle, Raoul's hacking ability not only takes you out of the fight, not only paints your vehicle as a SOFLAM target, but also has absolutely no counterplay to it. So what do? What do I do, DICE? You just deal with it. That's all DICE offers to you. Just deal with it. Have you done your job in clearing off a rooftop? Have you educated yourself where players have access to the rooftop and watch those positions? Sorry, a McKay has just used a grappling hook to gain access to your roof and shot you and all your friends in the back from a random location inaccessible to any normal player. What do you do to prevent that? Sorry, just deal with it. Are you positioning yourself on the map with a tank that's perfectly positioned and you're racking up kills and you're taking advantage of a team that refuses to join together with a few engineers and force you away from your position? No, that's not what happened. Sorry, a Sundance has just leaped from the heavens, closed the distance between you and them at a blindingly fast rate from straight above where you can't kill them, and now you're staring at your kill screen notifying you've been blown up with C4 as Sundance runs away teabagging. Where normal players would either have to team up to take you out, or one lone player would have to be as stealthy as possible and pretty lucky and sneak up behind you, Sundance has now just done all that work in less than 5 seconds. So what do? Well, DICE says deal with it. I think this is just another way of lowering the skill ceiling with vehicles to keep players that aren't as aware of their surroundings and constantly killed by vehicles playing for longer. That's one thing that DICE has a problem replicating from previous titles that I immensely enjoyed, and those are games with very low skill floors but expansively high skill ceilings. Additionally, Breakaway has gone from one of my least favorite maps to one of the absolute best. The detail, the cover, and the ability to traverse around the map has been drastically improved. There's flanking routes everywhere, and I really think they hit the ball on the park with this one, for sure. Now, we just need to wait and see if Hourglass can be saved in anywhere near the same way. A lot of players were also really concerned with infrared sights being added to this game, and I gotta say, I'm really enjoying them for certain applications. I don't think they're too OP. Just like with anything else, you gain a benefit and you lose another area by using them. While these Rat Finder 3000s are really useful, it isn't just players that light up in the sights. You've got fire, heat, ammo bags, any kind of utility, health kits, they all light up. So there's still some discernment that you have to use when playing with these. Plus, it does obscure some of the screen around there. It's a little blockier. So in a lot of cases, you are just going to want to run a regular red dot. But that being said, I haven't unlocked anything past the 1.25 yet, but I'm really looking forward to using these other variants. One thing I'm disappointed with for sure, as many others are, is the Lackluster vault weapons. Like, we're Battlefield players, and we love nostalgia. This game was supposed to be a love letter to the fans, so we'd really like for some of these older guns coming back to the game to not suck so much, you know? Thankfully, since we don't have skill-based matchmaking here, that's a fantastic thing, you don't absolutely have to run the meta at all times, so you can use these weapons, you know, if you change up your playstyle and, you know, use them as they're intended if you want to. But you do so with a blatant understanding that there are certain circumstances in which you're going to get clapped no matter how many shots you land or how fast you pull the trigger. Other than the EMR, most of the vault weapons are pretty lackluster. They're fun to play with for a round or two, but, you know, they have very limited attachments, so there's no incentive to, you know, rank them up there. They have no tier 1 weapon skins or hardly any skins at all, so there's literally no incentive to play with them or get good at them. So that kind of makes me sad. It really does. Anyways, I love these new updates, but there is one thing I really would like to see introduced to the game, which I haven't heard anybody else talk about, and you can view that in this video right here. But other than that, God bless, happy gaming, hit you good, out.